Hello, welcome back to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University. And welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Sprocket, West Kentucky, and KY Innovation. And welcome back to episode 262. And as we are on 262, if you take 52 weeks a year times 5 years, last week we started our 5th year and I didn't even acknowledge it. So we are in our second week of now our 5th year doing 10 at 10. As it is an even number episode, we are looking at the news of the last few weeks, really the news of the new year. What can we learn? As you probably know, and I say this often, I'm not necessarily looking at the news that was the biggest news in the press. I'm looking at things that I find interesting, and more importantly, looking at things with an eye of what can we learn to help ourselves, our organizations, and our families stay a little bit safer in cyberspace. So anyway, so let's take a look at a few things that caught my eye over the last few weeks. This first one, it's not funny because it's serious, but I think it's really interesting. So there was a soccer team, Aston Villa, that is in England, that was taking on a team from Tel Aviv, and the police department in the area of England ruled that fans couldn't come to the game. That the fans were banned from the game. It was during a time of heightened alert because during the fall there was a terrorist attack on a synagogue in Manchester, so there was heightened alert or sensitivities of another country bringing fans into to England. But what the UK police, the United Kingdom, not the university in our state, excuse me, what the police finally admitted is that they were using Copilot to help justify their decision, and it actually hallucinated, meaning that the AI tool made up information that was not true because it thought it was supposed to. It hallucinated. And so part of their justification was factually wrong. And when asked about it, they denied it. When asked about it again, they denied it. And then finally, they admitted it. Now, why do I bring this up? Do you care about a football game in England from last fall? Probably not. But what does matter is we are so heavily reliant on AI and generative AI to create content for us that we as a society are not looking to see if the content is real. It looks convincing, but we're not citing our sources, or we're not checking the sources. We're not checking the citations. And this came back to bite them. A few months ago, or maybe several months ago, I shared a story about a consulting company that was being used in Australia, and it did the same thing. This is a dangerous area that we're not really paying attention to. Anyway, so I think this is a symptom of a larger problem that we really need to pay attention to and make sure that we're doing our job to not propagate fake news or hallucinated AI content in this case. All right. I alluded to this a little bit ago, maybe last week, I guess it was. But this article came out. Is the U.S. adopting the gray zone cyber playbook? Gray zone. So, we went into Venezuela as a country, and special forces went in and grabbed their president and arrested them. President Trump has had press conferences about it, talked about it. But one of the things that he alluded to during the press conference was that the power was out. That we used, I forget the term that he used, I'm looking for it. But he said we used some advanced capabilities to make sure it was dark. What that really means is that we did a cyber attack, or at least that's what the pundits are saying, is that we did a cyber attack. We executed a cyber attack to knock the power out in that area while our special forces went in um, to capture the president. I find it interesting. Is that going to be part of the new strategy from a military standpoint? What does that mean for us as citizens or as businesses and organizations? Honestly, I don't know. I think it's really interesting and a little scary for sure. I assume those types of things are happening, but the president confirmed it in his comments, and his comment was not even like I'm going to actively confirm this. It was so much of just as a statement of fact that he just said it and went on. So anyway, something worth noting and keeping an eye on as we move forward in this space. All right, next one. Instagram may or may not have had a data breach, and I do care about. I don't want people to have their information um, uh, stolen. So, irregardless, that's a bad thing. However, there's some dispute as over whether um, it was a data breach. There's some arguing. So, irregardless, Instagram says it fixed a bug that allowed threat actors to mass request password reset emails amid claims that data from more than 17 million Instagram users was scraped and leaked online. Here's the reason I bring this story up. Irregardless of whether there's a data breach or not, if you are a user of a system that has a data breach, a potential data breach, say that you're a customer of a company that has a data breach, but your data wasn't stolen, why not go ahead and reset? Why not, out of an abundance of caution, go in and reset your password? It can't hurt, just in case. Just in case. Maybe that company hasn't truly understood the extent of the breach. Maybe it turns out that your information wasn't stolen at all. What does it cost you? It's cost you a password reset. Not a big deal. So in this case, if I were an Instagram user and I didn't receive the mass email about a password reset, I would probably, and I did, go in and reset my password just in case. That's what I would recommend to you. That's what I did, and I think that's the prudent path for any time you're part of an organization that has a potential, a legitimate data breach, a potential data breach, or a data breach that you weren't included in. Any of those types of things. I think that's really important. Speaking of passwords, so last year we talked about a LastPass data breach. Throughout, let's see, 2024, 2025, there were different data breaches, I think, related or at least compromises of LastPass's systems. But in particular, this I find really interesting, and this should be a lesson to each of us as well, is that there was a breach at LastPass. Even if you stole somebody's LastPass, your password vault, it's encrypted unless you know the password to unlock that vault. So it should be safe. What has happened is that in this case, the password that was used on the password vault was weak. So they had this this $35 million cryptocurrency account that probably was a secure password, but it was being stored in their LastPass vault, and their LastPass password was weak. So that could sound complicated. Let me break it down like this. You can have the most secure passwords in the world, but if one of the links in that chain, one of the passwords to get to that point are weak, then it doesn't really matter how strong that password is. Bad guys can go after that weakest link And in this case, they were successful. And somebody lost $35 million. Now, I don't know how legitimate any of that is, but that's the report. And I actually think that's worth noting that if you have all these great, strong passwords in your password vault, but the password to get into your password vault is weak, then you got a problem. So I would recommend making that a strong password, something that you can remember, but making that a strong password. All right, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop there for today. I went a little bit long, but I don't want to go any longer than I already have. If you have any questions, please reach out. Let me know. I'm always happy to talk to you. We've been doing this for 5 years. We plan to continue doing this because I want to talk to you and I want to share with you those things, those simple things that we can be doing to make ourselves, our families, organizations a little safer in cyberspace. I'll see you next week back here on 10 at 10. Thank you. Bye.